Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the News at 6. We begin with over 100 people who gathered at the State House today praying the Supreme Court upholds a Mississippi law that would lead the way to overturning Roe versus Wade, effectively banning nearly all abortions here in Idaho.
Idaho is actually one of 12 states where abortion would immediately be illegal if the Supreme Court or a constitutional amendment gave states the right to regulate abortions. Idaho has a trigger law in the books to only allow abortions in the case of rape, incest, or to save a mother's life. Our Andrew Bartline spoke with those rally organizers and advocates for abortion accessibility here in our state. Andrew, break this down for us.
Yeah, Morgan and Mark, the U.S. Supreme Court is hearing arguments on a Mississippi law, and people against abortion are hoping a conservative-leaning Supreme Court will rule in their favor and ultimately limit abortion accessibility around the country. There's a lot of things Bill Campbell could be doing on a Wednesday afternoon, and he chose to pray at the State House with over 100 other Idahoans.
I want to support and encourage movements like this that protect life.
He's part of a group calling themselves the Purple Sash Revolution, and today they prayed for the 9 Supreme Court justices hearing arguments on a 15-week abortion law in Mississippi. The group is hoping the court upholds the Mississippi law and leads the way to overturn Roe versus Wade.
Abortion affects the entire nation in a negative way.
Roe versus Wade is a national precedent that generally allows abortion the first 2 trimesters of a pregnancy. However, 12 states have more restrictive laws waiting in the wings, and Idaho is among them. Idaho lawmakers passed Senate Bill 1385 in 2020, and the law makes abortion illegal statewide, except in the case of rape, incest, or to save the mother's life. The law only goes into effect once the Supreme Court or a constitutional amendment, quote, restores to the states their authority to prohibit abortion. This is leaving abortion accessibility advocates concerned.
We are entering the most dangerous time for abortion rights in decades. It's our view that these private medical decisions should be left up to medical professionals, certainly not the Supreme Court and certainly not state legislatures.
The Supreme Court is months away from making a decision on the law, and some don't expect a ruling until June.
Gather the people.
And it's got people like Bill left praying in the meantime.
I believe that life comes from God and it should be respected.
With Planned Parenthood says if this Mississippi law is upheld in the court, and Idaho's law is triggered rather, the average Idahoan would have to travel 250 miles to get access to an abortion. So the ruling is months away, but the decision could have serious impacts here in Idaho.
And legal experts believe that the conservative-leaning Supreme Court likely will not have a decision on this until late June.
Right.
Andrew, thank you.